Good afternoon. I am Sharifah Hardie and welcome. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Read Me Live. We have a very special guest today, Miss Marcia Sherrill, and we're going to talk about fashion and so many other things. Good afternoon, Marcia. How are you?
Hey, sweetheart, I'm great. I'm just so excited. I can't even tell you. Thank you so much for including me in the show.
Absolutely. I'm excited to speak with you because my goal in creating the show was to be able to learn, to teach and to learn, right? And so
Perfect. Yes.
I believe that you know a lot about fashion. So let's talk fashion. Let's talk about your journey and how you wound up starting. Well, what was your start? How did you
We
start
were
out, Marcia?
basically starting over at like 58 or something like that. Well, I started really young with my ex-husband, and we were doing alligator belts, and we sold five belts to Bergdorf's, and then we sold Neiman's. And, we went through 25 years of building the brand. We did alligator belts, alligator handbags, then branched into leather. As you go further along the pipeline, you learn. And so went through a brutal divorce, so bad that I was on the Today Show. So, people would be like, I had a bad divorce. I'm like, I think I had the bad divorce because I was on the Today Show talking about it. It was like a legend on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So I lost everything and wound up being like the bag lady selling $25,000 handbags, all handmade in our factory in Atlanta, to the bag lady who was like couch surfing. So I had to really reinvent myself after the divorce, and now I'm back in the business, obviously, and loving it at Sherrill and Brothers. And we do work with global artisans from Kenya, Zimbabwe, Vietnam, China, India, and I'm having a blast because I finally have the freedom to also do some. We're doing fur coats, and those are like, oh my god, I like die for everyone. I could sleep with underneath a pile of those coats. Are fabulous, and they're just super well priced. So $400, $300 to get into a fur coat versus spending, so much more money on faux, which is bad for the environment. And Peter's already on a rant right now about people not wearing wool because the sheep get slaughtered. So I feel like I'm so far down their pipeline now. I'm no longer number 32 on their hit list. And then we're going to introduce. I've always done jewelry and fine jewelry. I don't have anything on, but my longtime assistant, who wound up being the marketing director of a famous jeweler down here, and she's from Haiti, and so we're developing a collection of 18 karat, but smaller, more heavily carved stones. And then we're doing ascot sets, which are these beaded and embroidered jackets and coats that most of the 35% of the women that go to Royal Ascot have on these matching dress with coats over them, because they're always, according to the rules, they have a rule book that you can't wear this and you can't wear that. You can't wear those fascinator hats with like, wow, the thing sticking out the top. So anyway, so we're working on some dress sets for hopefully for Harvey Nichols, who I had an in-store boutique there for years with my handbag. So that's in London. So lots of excitement. Oh my God.
It is. It sounds very exciting. And for everyone who's tuning in, we are going to do a reading from Marcia today to see what's in
Yay.
the cards for her. I always read from the Arcanum deck, one of my favorite deck, mainly because I saw the Lover's card on the deck and I truly fell in love. I'm a hopeful romantic who believes in love. And so while we dive a little bit more into what Marcia has going on, and while we connect to Marcia's energy, I'm just going to shuffle the cards and see what comes up. But before we do that, while I'm connecting to your energy, I want to go back to something that you said, Marcia, because I always find this, and I tell people I launched my first podcast in 2009. So I've spoken with hundreds, if not thousands, of different people. And the most successful people, when they share their stories, they always make it sound so easy. You said,
Right.
I was selling alligator belts and then I sold them into Neiman. Okay, most people would
Not
have
easy.
no idea what it would take to get into stores of such caliber. So first of
Right.
all, what is an alligator belt? Let's start there at the beginning.
An alligator belt is just it's alligator or crocodile strap, and then I mean I could grab one.
If
Does
if
that
it's
help?
close, if it's
Yeah,
close,
it's right here. It's right here. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving.
we just get to see the photo. The painting behind you is incredible. I love it.
Gorgeous.
Yes.
So these are alligator belts, but what we did when we were selling Neiman's and Bergdorf Goodman, so see they have these really beautiful crocodile straps. Can you
Yes.
see the gorgeous gold one? And then these just have really simple men's buckles, right? But
Okay.
we did our own buckles. They were really gorgeous, and they were brass vermeil in sterling silver, and they were, big. It was the 1980s, and then you would go to these go see days. And a go see day was they would set up their lunchroom, Saks, all of them, and you would go in. It would just be all these different people presenting their brands, like on cardboard tables. It was not glamorous, okay. And we did those go see days, and that's how we got in. And then we had to figure out how to mass produce because we were ignorant fools and made our first samples, carved them out of metal. Oh yeah, had guys carving them out of metal. So hello, lost wax casting, where you can cast over and over from the same. You make a metal master. So for this buckle, you can make it they carve it out of wax, right? And then they put what's the equivalent to, like, let's just say a sand around it in a container, and then you pour the metal part into it. The wax goes away, lost wax method of casting, and then you come out with a metal buckle. So we had to learn all of that like so super quick because we'd already sold these people. We didn't know how we were going to deliver them. We had our first factory. We were first buying from straps from somebody else, and then we just decided that we would do it ourselves. And they were like leftover hippies in Atlanta that did those carved mushroom belts in the 60s. Well, so we had Abraham, Israel, I can't remember the other one, all working in our back bedroom. So it was not easy. It was hard. And then we grew from there. But it was, ups and downs. Always with any company, you're going to have, your vicissitudes, where one season it's not in. What you're doing is not in. So wanted to get into that kind of into that not a little bit Vera Bradley space, but with our own look. And so we sold on Shopping TV for many years. This is post-divorce. And I was really concentrated on this really popularly priced collection. And I did, Shopping TV here, and I did QVC China and all that kind of stuff. And then I realized, this is just, it was too chaotic after COVID. COVID just really kind of destroyed TV shopping. So that's when I reinvented myself and went back to my roots.
Okay.
So, and it's not easy. It's extremely hard. I mean, we're lucky that we have, connections with some places, but, I'm enjoying being a website with my showroom and just being like what's called a consumer facing product. So, dealing directly with the consumers. And I love it because I can go on my account and I can see, is the purple going to be purple or lavender or more purple or more red? And it's like, then I just, I contact them and they're excited that they're talking to the designer, so it's fun. It makes it really fun.
It seems really fun, and you're glowing. You are having fun. I mean, and I always say that fun is the key to manifestation. And you mentioned that it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't easy. I'm sorry. It wasn't easy. Was there something, because again, one of my ideas for doing this show is to really demystify things for people, remove the veil of secrecy. Was there something inside of you that intuitively told you that you can be successful or this is what you were meant to do?
Well, after being really super depressed about losing, about Shopping TV changing, meaning Shopping TV, everybody went home. And so they were only dealing with their top 20 vendors in the business. there's an expression that you do 80% of your business with 20, percent of your vendors. And so we were considered a much smaller sort of niche brand. And the line was called Anabelle by Marcia Sherrill. And there just was no room for us, in the end, there was no room. And we were doing these sort of like, not Prada, but, those kind of quilted nylon bags, and they were gorgeous. But, it didn't matter because they didn't really want to do, and none of them wanted to come back to their campuses, QVC, Home Shopping Network, the one we were dealing with in Minneapolis that I changed like the wind. It was called Shopping NBC, then it was called Evine, whatever. And, we were not one of their top vendors. And so none of them wanted to come back. They were forced to come back and do hybrid positions. The buyers, I'm talking about the buyers assistants, the general managers and everything. And I realized, I'm not happy in this space. This is really not what I want to do ultimately. Could I do like a nylon collection? Of course I could. And I might do one, but my great love was really luxury leathers and fur coats. Yep. And so for me, and then these dress sets, everything is really classics, kind of reimagined. Like it's not your mother's it's just not your grandmother's fur coat that she wore. You know what I'm saying? They're fashion furs. And they're inexpensive and all that. And then with the belts, men's belts, instead of just doing traditional brown and black, we did purple, green, red, blue. So, it took a long time working with the tanneries to get the right colors and then to have consistency. And, all along the way, it's just money, 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 money. So, there's scary moments. I mean, I don't know a business owner that has not known fear. Like, the lion is not sleeping tonight. It's, oh my God, the wolves are at the door, so no, it's very difficult, but if you can hit on the right product, and now the internet makes it so much easier. So, we advertise whatever, but somebody could just stumble on your product and be, you could develop a long relationship with them. So that's really more our goal is we deal directly with the consumers, and that's who I love too. Okay. I mean, I love dealing with the consumers. The whole analytical business, sit down, mumbo jumbo. I would be the person who went into the room for Takashimaya and did the song and dance, and then I'd leave, and then my husband would close the deal. So now my partner will close the deal because I just enjoy being everybody's friend and making it fun. So I'm a little bit of the razzle dazzle fun type, and then he would come in and close it. I remember we went to Japan for the first time for Takashimaya, and it was very hard to get Takashimaya. It took us over 2 years, and they came in and they were interested and they wanted us to come to Japan. So we went, and my ex-husband said, this is my best advice for you. Don't be you. And I was like, don't be me. He goes, no, their women are demure and lovely and quiet. You need to try to be demure and lovely and quiet. So the first day, the girls are in the white gloves, pushing the butter on the elevator and bringing you tea and white gloves and so ladylike and everything. The night before we left, it was me, the whole C-suite, meaning the CEO, CFO, CMO, COO, at a karaoke bar, and we're doing Like a Virgin. Like a virgin. And then right behind me, touch for the very first time. So anyway, it's been, and then right now, I told you I've done a bunch of TV, and I'm up for a pilot. The former president of Martha Stewart TV, Krasnowski, is doing a pilot on expats. So it's about where kind of you would want to retire, where you would get like the best value for retiring. And it could be this Italian hamlet where you can buy these decrepit old homes for $40,000 and fix them up, and then you wind up having a palazzo. So I'm hoping that pilot goes forward. And I don't know if I mentioned, I've written a couple books, one on breast cancer, and had Nancy Reagan, Betty Ford, black, white, gay, straight, men, women, everything. And then I did a book called Style Makers Inside Fashion. And that was like all the people behind the scenes in fashion. So Bernard Arnault from Louis Vuitton, Isabel Blow, Philip Tracy hats, whatever. But I am working on a new book that's really finished, and I'm working on getting an agent because mine retired. How dare she, to the south of France? That's no fun. And she was at ICM, so it's really gut wrenching. And ICM is the second, one of the two most powerful talent agencies in the world. So that's very much like kind of top of mind that I'd like to do that book, because I've always done all three things. I've always designed, done TV, and been a columnist. I've written hundreds of columns for magazines and Life with Marcia, Design with Marcia. I don't hold back. I am like completely honest about everything. So this is really a tell-all, and then some.
I can't wait to read it. But I want to go back to but you are a character. You're so entertaining. You're so funny. So I know this book is going to be incredible. But I want to go back to what you said about couch surfing. Yes. What was in you that while you were couch surfing, you were still focused on your business? So often, when we go through divorces, when we go through these challenges, when we go through those setbacks, we feel like we should just give up, go get a job. It wasn't meant for me. And you're still focused on building this business. You're traveling around the world. You're writing columns. You're publishing books. Yeah. What was in you? You seem like you have that spirit.
Yeah, I mean, it was really one of the most frightening points of my life. And we had other frightening points in our life, like when my husband drove away our backer, and my daughter looks out the window in Atlanta, because we had a house down there and a store and factory, and she goes, "Mommy, somebody's putting your Jaguar on somebody's stealing your Jaguar." And I was like, "That's the repo man. He's good. He's gonna take it." When I lost everything in the divorce, I was so scared. And in the divorce book, it's palpable. The fear, the dry mouth, the shaking, and the fact that I had no money and he had all of our money in his name, and was able to, hire the fanciest, $250,000 law firm. And I was basically doing my divorce myself. I had a young guy who was a young lawyer who was working with me, but at a certain point, he turned to me and he just said, "They're going to outlawyer us. They're going to outspend us, just basically give up." And then I remember there was a point where I had said my cause for divorce was rape. And he had said it was abandonment, which means, no relations for a year. And I remember that the judge was awful. And I found a group of divorcees later that I was counseling divorcees for a while. Just for free, whatever, trying to help. And she said, "I'm not going to say what Miss Sherrill's cause will do to her custody." At that point, I thought that meant I'm losing custody. My lawyer digging his fingernails into my hands, like, "Don't say anything, don't say anything, don't stand up." I stood up and said, "I changed it. I changed my cause." Because I was like, anything not to lose my child, right? And so then the couch surfing was really, really, really scary. I remember we had gotten a studio and had to move out of that. We couldn't afford it. And so we were going to move in and live with different friends, right? And so I remember going up to one of my friends in Harlem, and it was just a twin bed. And I'm like, "Oh, Annabelle's not going to like this." And so I went back down to my old building, and they had a basement where people just like threw away stuff. And there was like a fold out bed there. So I got the fold out bed. I got in a taxi. I got up to Harlem, and I had a old sheet. And so I made a really pretty dust ruffle out of the sheet for Annabelle. And then I had the covers for her and everything. And I remember it was all about couch surfing with your child is terrifying, because they feel your shame. They feel your fear. It's palpable. How I went on, I do not know. I really do not know. I just think, I kind of put some things in motion during the divorce. So I worked throughout the divorce trying to get backers and everything else. And it was very, it was horrible. It
Mhm.
was horrible. And to try and think about business while you're dealing with the fact of your homelessness is that it's not like a good time, babe. It's not like going to the nail salon. Nope. Nope. I did not enjoy it. I will not do it again. Never.
Wow.
Never.
Wow, you are incredible. Your spirit, you have a fighting spirit,
Yeah.
and you're just so much fun. You didn't listen to the lawyer and you stood up. You didn't listen to your husband and just sit there and be quiet. You're
No.
out there singing songs, having the time of your life. And I think people who have such great energy and great spirits is a lot of times what makes the difference in the situations that we're going through.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. I had never thought of that.
That
Never.
is okay. Well, let's see what the cards have. You ready to see what the cards have for you, Marcia?
So ready.
Have you had readings before?
Never.
Okay.
But I
Okay.
know all about you, so now I know the real deal.
Because I always ask that question because I tell people, people do readings in different ways. Some
Right.
people have such an idea of secrecy, which means I'm special. I'm the only one who can get messages. I'm the only one who can read cards, and that, my friend, is hogwash. We all have some
Really?
type of yes, spiritual, intuitive abilities, some sixth sense, because if
Wow.
not, I feel like we would be alone, left alone on this earth. But God gives us our senses to be able to
Right.
sense where we need to go. Because what was
Right.
interesting to me in your whole story, it was a lot that I loved, but the bed, you were like,
Yeah,
you
the
went
bed.
there and the bed was there. And at that
Yeah.
moment, that's exactly what you need. Those are those
Right.
instances in life that we may not notice, but it's spirit, God, whatever you want to call them, stepping
Yeah.
in to provide exactly what we need at
Yeah.
that moment. And with that moment, at that moment, what you needed is a bed. At that
Yeah.
moment, in what you went through, you needed friends, you needed support, you needed people who
Right.
were there for you. Because without those people who were there for you, you wouldn't even have couches to surf on.
Exactly. I'm really lucky that I had some really great friends who took care of me. It was hard on my kid, though, the whole 9 yards. I mean, you just hate to not be able to provide them with a safe whatever. And then, we did it maybe for 6 months, and then I could finally go back and afford to get, an apartment actually in my building where my ex lived. So my daughter could go up and down the elevator and be at 2 apartments. So, she could either be at the big apartment with him and the nanny and everything, or be in my apartment. So, needless to say, every weekend when she was partying, it was like her and then my godson and two of his. I would just come out of the bedroom and they'd be on the floor, racked out, because I had the Cheetos, the Fritos, the potato chips. So, and they would just stay up talking till all hours of the night, which was, really fun that she finally got to have a place that she could call home. It was nice.
And
It
that's
was nice.
beautiful.
I mean, she always has his place, but it's the things that I love my mother so much, so desperately, and that was a great love. And it's sort of like, I just want her to come through in some way. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? It's like I want to feel her loving embrace. You know, she
Oh,
was she was really, I think in life we're just given so many great loves, and
yes.
she was definitely one of mine. She was my
Oh,
main great love. Yeah,
that's so. And your mother's on the other side.
yes.
Well,
Oh, and
all
when she was and when he died, and she had to take Social Security, you could take whatever's the highest Social Security payment, but there was a $1,200 shortfall.
mhm.
And then my brother said they couldn't help me. And one, I understand why. He's an alcoholic working at, the Walmart nursery. And the other one's a doctor married to a professor, and they couldn't help me. So on top of being homeless, I had to come up with money for her every month. So it was a burden. It was really tough. But I took care of my mom until the end.
Oh, wow,
I did.
wow. Well, one of the things that I can tell you for sure is that our loved ones are always around us. I've had experience after experience after experience with our
Yeah.
loved ones coming through. So I do readings for people. I'm not a medium. I don't channel our deceased loved ones. What I
Right.
do is I'm more of a clairvoyant, a clairaudio. So are things that I either visions or things that I see or different
Right.
things that I hear. But the one thing that I'm hearing right now is that there are signs that your mother is around you. So I don't know if you have experiences with lights or with you will have it today. You will have a symbol or
Wow.
sign that your mom is
Wow.
you, because she's been giving you signs, she's been giving you signals that she's there. And so often what happens is when we receive those messages, there's a knowing and there's a feeling, but we don't realize that it's our loved ones coming through us. And so what
Right.
I hear and what I feel is that she shows up through lights, whether it's turning lights on or giving you a signal that she's
Right.
around. But I see a light showing you that your mother is here. Our loved ones, all of our loved ones are always all around us, right?
Okay.
So
Yes.
also because of the connection that you have for her, what I'm going to ask is for her to help me deliver the messages that you need to hear. Because when
Yeah.
I do readings, what I do is I ask God, I ask Spirit for the signs and symbols that I recognize in order to be
Right.
able to give you a clear message. But just because it's a sign to me, that's why I show you the cards. You may see it completely different. It may be a different sign for you. And it also may be a card that jumps out to you, that stands out to you. And I always recommend to
Right.
people to Google those, to take notes, because if that sign comes to you, then guess
I
what?
would.
It's something that you were meant to hear. And maybe it's more information that you can Google and research on that specific card. So the first
Right.
card that I have for you is the Page of Swords, right? Page of Swords. This is in your life, the main issue that you have going on. And the Page of Swords, pages are about messages. Pages are about delivering messages. In the times of kings, the king's job was to sit on the throne. He didn't go anywhere, he didn't do anything. So he always had pages around him to be
Right.
able to deliver the message. So swords are about knowledge, or swords about information. So there's more information, more knowledge that's going to come to you, and that's your
Wow.
main issue. The other thing that I feel
That's
about
really true right now. You have no idea how true that is.
wonderful, that's good. But one of the things that I feel about you and your energy is that you are very connected. You're very connected to the other side, and you're very connected to spirit. So even when you get ideas for fashion, some of these ideas that you receive are divinely inspired, to where you receive
Oh,
them almost as a download. And then once you get the download on what you're going to create, you design almost as in a trance, like you're just designing, and that at the end of
right.
that design, then you're like, oh my God, look at what I created.
Right. Oh, awesome. That's with the jewelry. That's fantastic. Yeah, it totally was like that. You're right.
Okay. So that's the main
100%.
that's the main issue, but it's
Yeah.
information or knowledge. Um, that message coming through, but as you do it more consciously, like you said with the jewelry, and I think the jewelry is your passion right now.
Right. It is.
Okay. The jewelry is helping to open you up. So when you design your jewelry, instead of just kind of doing it and designing it, do it consciously and ask for the information to come through to you. Ask your spirit guides, angels, your deceased loved ones, spirit, whatever that you believe in, to help you do it more on a conscious level, so that you're
Right.
aware of the fact that you are channeling this information and it's a divine download. Because the next card that you have is the Chariot. Okay. The
Right.
Chariot. The
Okay.
Chariot is a major arcana card. Major arcana cards are major life lessons. Arcana means lesson, it means change, right? So you have major arcana cards and you have minor arcana cards. Major changes are things that change the course of history. These are your births, these are your deaths, these are your weddings, these are your divorces. And you seem to resonate with the like how the divorce affected you. Now let's move forward to a more positive aspect of what's going on in your life. So the
Right.
Chariot is about control. You think about that situation in times of war, they would send out the chariot to clear the battlefield, right?
Right.
So this
Right.
means that what's going on in your life, especially with your situation as far as getting back into an
Yeah.
agent, You're going to have the chariot is about moving forward. It's swift movement. You're moving forward quickly.
Good.
Because the chariot cuts away. It cuts away anything that is stagnant, anything where there's no movement. But the chariot is also about balance. It's about balancing this change in your life. The chariot, again, I show you, it has two horses. It has the black horse and it has the white horse. And so he has perfect control as they move forward, as they cut through the battlefield. He has perfect control. He's not worried. He's not afraid. So you will see as new information comes into you, and this message, this new information can come through in a multitude of different ways. It doesn't have to be one way.
Do not be worried and afraid.
Yes, but the message, it could come through in an email, a text, a phone call, but based on the new information that you receive, you will see your situation move forward quickly, right? And have control and have belief, because the next card that you have is the Four of Cups. Kind of hard to see. The Four of Cups. I'm trying to get her face. I can't get her face, but it's the Four of Cups. In the Four of Cups, it's a lady who's sad. She's feeling down. Because in the past, cups are emotions, cups are love. She was very happy. She had high hopes. She believed that things were going to go a certain way. And based on the loss, because there was some real loss, even though you tell this story, it's the funniest story. You have me over here cracking up. I think you're hilarious. But
well, I guess since you brought it up, then I should bring it up. So about 6 months ago, I've had a backer always who's like, kicked in money when we needed it, whatever. And he married this woman who's worth like $500 million. And so he helped people. Though he was what he felt was his mission, was that he was to give things. And so his mother, who was my best friend, went into had a carotid tear, had a stroke. And so it wound up being for 305 days. I'm living in Birmingham, Alabama, my hometown, and taking, doing 5-hour shifts every single day. I'm going back like 2.5 years ago. And so, all of his promises and everything else. And she had this assistant she had for a month. And the assistant just, he's a very fundamental Christian. And, she basically would like get in a car and get naked anyways. So, who's no longer a virgin. And then, she basically wanted everybody cut off, and they did horrible things to the maids. And he's such a fine Christian fellow, and he's so upstanding, and I love him so much, but he basically listened to her and cut off everybody. And I mean, I'm fine because I can coast along on what I'm doing, but, there are a lot of people that, it makes it harder. Mm-hmm. But there are a bunch of people out there who just, all of a sudden had their, and I all of a sudden had my, here's my son, and known him since, forever. And it was a horrible 301 days at the hospital. So, for him to withdraw all support to everyone has been incredibly difficult for all of us. Mm-hmm. But that's she was in prison. She's a complicated person, and she's going to get her way. So, he wound up having a baby at 50. He didn't have a child. So I didn't want to bring it up before because I thought maybe it just sounds too crazy or complicates things or whatever. But yeah, so we have this really dark force coming against all of us, almost demonic force coming against us.
Well, no demonic force can come against you because your energy is too happy, too bright, and too light. You're a very connected person. You're connected very well to the other side. Like, when you're being led. I think you're one of those people. I feel like you're one of those people that feel the connection but haven't put words to it, right? You almost go into like a zone when you're connected, but you don't look at it and go, oh, well, this is me channeling, or this is me doing anything as far as like a download, especially when you're designing, but you feel it and you know what it is to tap into that energy. So anytime you have such a light, then of course you're going to have people who come against you. And most of the light workers, the most brilliant people that I know, have had the most horrible challenges. They have the horrible challenges. And the main reason that they have the challenges, I believe, is that they are built through the fire. Like myself, I've been divorced twice. I've been laid off 8 times. I've lost everything but the clothes on my back. But you know what? It's like, for me, it's the story of Job, right? In the Bible, in scripture, in that I had to go through all of those things to show that no matter what, I still love the Lord. And because of I'm being blessed tenfold. My mother told me I should do readings about 20 years ago. You know, I'm a 3rd generation reader. And my mom was like, you can do that. And 20 years ago, I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not having the people laugh at me or stone me or anything. Now I'm almost 50. And
you look 20.
Thank you. I receive.
And you're doing what you love, right?
I'm not only doing what I love, but I'm doing what I'm called to do. So doors are opening, and I'm just being obedient and delivering the messages that I'm given. And the other reason is simply, and I want to acknowledge League TV who's joining us. The comments are on the screen. But one of the reasons because 20 years ago, when I would have done readings, I don't think and I don't believe that it would have done as much good. So this time I said, if I'm going to do these readings, I'm going to do them live, because it's not just about me. It's not just about Marcia. It's about the people who tune in, because they may learn something. They may receive something. They may get a download, or maybe they don't have a word for what a download is. But for me, it's all of a sudden, I just feel like this information comes in, this feeling comes in, and I just feel so connected to the divine. And so League TV, Salim Amir Bey, is one of the people I had on my show last Monday. And his comment, he just commented, he said, this helps me understand my own reading as well. So sometime as you continue to pay attention, as you continue to focus, you'll receive the information. So based on what you said with the gentleman, I again want to acknowledge that there was some loss. Absolutely. There was some hurt. There was some pain. And you may not be able to see the lady in the card, but what you should be able to see is that there are cups, right? There are 4 cups. And the meaning of these 4 cups, and what is showing in this cups card, is that none of the cards are spilt. They're all upright. There's still hope there. There's still life there. There's a lot of water in the card. And water for me is my symbol for renewal. That yes, you may have thought and you may have expected that it's going to come through this way, right? And I believe that God, when something happens, God makes the odds 1,000,000 to 1. And the reason he makes the odds 1,000,000 to 1 is that when it happens, because I see you expanding, I see a lot of growth for you. I see new people coming in to be able to support you, is that had you received that money from this gentleman, many of the doors that are opening now would not have opened, because he gave you the money. He gave you the money, all is well. No, you have to go through all of these things in order for you to give God the glory for what happens. Because if the odds are 1,000,000 to 1, only God could have done it. Only God could have made it happen. And he's using you just like he used Job and other people as a shining light of what he can do. So he's showing what he can do for Marcia and through Marcia, which is why when you do your jewelry, it like you said, it's almost divinely inspired, where all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I don't even know how I did it, because it's not just you, it's God showing up in and as you. Does that make sense?
Oh God, completely, 100%.
Okay.
Totally resonates.
Yes. So the next card that I have for you is the 2 of Wands. The 2 of Wands is a minor arcana card, minor changes, but what the 2 of Wands symbolizes initiative. This is my sign, and this is my symbol for initiative, right? And it's one of those cards where you have to step out on faith. You have to take the action to make things happen, to be able to open doors. I want to say welcome to Michael. Thank you for joining us again on this show. He says, hello, ladies. So I just wanted to acknowledge Michael. But
Michael.
Yes, and what you're doing with the 2 of Wands being the initiative card, this is telling me, especially with the agent, we want to go back to the agent, because you have so much on your desk or on your plate, so much that you can offer Take the initiative. Any great agent, whether it's ICM, CAA, or whoever it is, they will be honored to have you. You've had an agent for some time. You've made things happen. You're not a rookie who's just starting out. You have done so much. You've already published two books, right? So take the initiative. Go out there, reach out to them. I don't know if you do meditation or not, but I would recommend more meditation for you. I believe that in your meditation, you'll get some download. Again, that's the Page of Swords, new information. And this information is going to tell you, okay, Marcia, reach out to Billy Bob or whoever it is, whatever their name is, reach out to them. And as you get this information and you reach out to these people, more and more doors are going to open because, ooh, beautiful, Marcia. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That one is the star. The star. The star. Okay. And the star is a major arcana card. Major arcana cards, again, teach us major life lessons. And so what this is saying with the star is literally saying wish upon a star. Go into your meditation, wish. See yourself as the highest possible outcome. When we wish for something, we don't wish for something small. We wish for, okay, I see myself. Where do you see yourself? And I would say, especially with the star card and wishing upon a star, wherever you see yourself, go higher, go bigger. Right? Okay. If you see yourself in a star, you say, you know what? I wish I could be back in Neiman's. Okay, well, we need to be more than in Neiman's. We need to wish and we need to see ourselves in stores across the world. Every high-end boutique has my items. You can visualize a lot in meditation, but wish, that little girl in you, she didn't wish for just, one little small thing. She didn't say, oh, I'm going to use my powers to create a nice lunch. No, we need a banquet. Maybe we need something that is huge. But again, it's a star. And another thing the star tells us is it is done unto you as you believe. Do you believe you can get an agent? Do you believe that you can create? Do you believe get in these stores? You've done things and you I think you surprised yourself. Like the things that you've done, you're like, wait a minute, I've done that. I don't even, it's almost like it's somebody else, but you're doing it because, again, I feel like you walk on faith, but you don't necessarily call it I'm walking on faith. You're just like,
I do call it walking on faith. I'm with you.
That's beautiful. So you walk on faith.
Yes, I know I walk on faith.
Okay, well, that's it. Not everybody knows. That's a great thing.
I know.
Because you walk on faith.
Because you don't want to admit it because people will judge you, but it's like I'm pretty public about it. So, about my faith and being more Christian than a lot of people. Or just expressing it differently. How about that? I'm not going to say, fundamental. I'm not going to say praying tongue, whatever. I'm not going to say any of that just because, people then sort of like, maybe they feel like you're trying to, compete with them or something. And I'm not. I have my own faith and my own thing. And I definitely stand on scripture. So, yeah, it helps.
Wish upon a star. Meditate and see it in your mind eye. Move forward with faith. Hope, renewal, but you also have the Four of Swords. Okay, the Four of Swords. And in the Four of Swords, what he's doing is he's just sitting there meditating, channeling, receiving the information. And I love the fact that all these cards almost show up with like a glow, like an aura.
Yes, they do.
It's really just white, but the white is showing up as an aura, which I think is so beautiful. But you can at least see him, correct?
Yes, I can.
He's sitting folded, right? So this is the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords card to me, again, is about meditation, because what happens in the previous card, in the Three of Swords, is that Three of Swords stands for sorrow. So yes, again, let's go back to, I never gloss over things that happened. Those things really happened. Like they were real. You really went through this divorce. You really thought you were going to have this money from this guy. There was some real loss there. And so often what happens when we have a loss, we just be like, you know what? I got to keep going. I got to keep making it happen. So the Four of Swords is telling me to rest, to heal, right? So meditate, sit, and his eyes are closed in the picture. Sit and talk to spirit. You'll know when it's time for you to move, because when we get up and you know, maybe if you look at it like I look at it like a car, right? If that car has a full tank, we can zip all over town. But if that car has the gas light on, we need to sit down. It's the same thing with us as a person. If we don't have the energy and the stamina to move forward and to fight another battle, if we try to keep going at a quarter of a tank, we're almost at empty. So if you stop, if you wait for this information, for divine inspiration, then you'll get to where you're going. Because the other thing that the Four of Swords always reminds me of is an expression that Oprah Winfrey said. And Oprah Winfrey said that most people, when they don't know what to do, they have to do something. She said, when I don't know what to do, I don't do anything until I know what to do.
That's amazing.
Yes. So that's the energy of the Four of Swords. Don't just do things willy-nilly. I mean, I'm not saying this is just coming.
No, I agree with you. I agree
that you do or you are, but I'm saying that the message is that, and I call it, you know, not that I have any experience in shooting a gun. I've never had a gun in my life, but for some reason, the Four of Swords always comes through with the message of wait for a clear shot, right? It means wait until you know that this is what you're supposed to be doing, how you're supposed to move, and you are definitely divinely guided. I want to acknowledge Mr. Man Smith. Are we doing free questions? We can always do free questions if spirit moves us. You can ask your question in the chat. If something comes through, I'll give you whatever I receive. But that's why I want to focus on a particular person. So right now, my energy, my connection, I'm connected to Marcia. But whoever knows what's going to happen, I'll always do readings for other people. If you want a reading, Mr. Man, you can visit my website at readmelive.com and schedule your reading. But that's the Four of Swords for me, if that makes sense to you, Marcia.
Yeah, it does. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
All of this is making sense.
Okay.
And now it's a little bit less overwhelming to me.
Okay.
You know, that I can just be kind of at peace and you know, plan your work your plan kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it'll make
I'm not alone, you know, that my mom and JoJo's there with me.
Yes, your loved ones are always around you. Your next card that you have is death, right? Death. It's the death card. However, this is not about a physical death. So this to me is confirmation, and it's a blessing based on everything else that we read, because death stands for transformation. That's what it stands for, transformation. And this is always my, in all its darkness, this is my butterfly card, right?
Really?
Because it's symbolism. So for me, this symbolizes the caterpillar, right? You cannot become the butterfly without being the caterpillar. So you have been the caterpillar. So now
I'm getting goosebumps because my backer is involved with Caterpillar tractors. So that is so weird that you said that. Yeah, they own whatever they own, but it's Caterpillar. So anyway, that's wow. I didn't see that coming, to go from the caterpillar to the butterfly. But yeah, there's, you know, another connection in that direction.
It's symbolism, and that's simply what I asked for. Speak to me in signs and symbols that you will understand, because I don't know anybody with caterpillars, but that's why it's nothing to be afraid of.
I know, because I'm a hypochondriac. I'm immediately like, you know, dying over here. Yeah.
No, but it may be a death of the ego. It may be the death of saying, I got to do it by myself, or no, If
Right.
you even with your mom is around you. She's all around you, and she gives you signs or symbols, but you don't know, oh, that was mom. And again,
Right.
I feel like she shows up in lights,
Right.
like there are
And I
lights.
was looking at my chandelier thinking, yeah, I need some more light bulbs up there. Yeah, that's
Yes.
so look for her in the light.
Or lights flickering,
Right, light
but
flickering.
again, speak to her, ask her to come through, ask her to show, herself, and then wait and see what comes through for you.
Right.
Okay. Um,
Yeah,
yes.
I
And
love it.
Carla says, read my son's book. It's called Mental Math. Okay, I don't know about mental math, Carla. I think it's wonderful, but maybe if we had your son's name, it'd be a lot easier for us to look for your son's book, Mental
Yeah.
Math, and we'll Google it. Mr. Mann says, will I be free from my siblings' evil plans against me? Will I be victorious, justice in my favor, have my life back once and for all? Mr. Man, again, like I said, right now I'm 100% tuned into Marcia, so I don't really go in different directions. But what I can tell you, just based on what I know, third generation reader, mom, woman of the world, what I can tell you is that we are all blessed with free will, that nobody can do anything to you that you have not given permission to in some form or fashion, in
Right.
some way that you have allowed anyone with evil plans to do things. So if you rebuke or don't allow
I
any of
rebuke.
those
I
things,
rebuke.
yes, then they will not be allowed to come to pass. Focus on the highest energy possible, the highest, purest energy for
Right.
yourself, for your family, and that's what you're going to manifest in your life. Because again, we're showing that and we're seeing that with Marcia, is that Marcia was never somebody who said, you know what, I'm going to give up. I'm going to quit. She went in and she needed a bed for her baby, and guess what? Spirit supplied a bed for her baby.
Right.
God always
Exactly.
gives us what we need. He may not give us what we want, but he always gives us what we need. So that's what I saw, this transformation for you, really becoming and stepping into the butterfly. And as
Right.
the butterfly, you will move forward. You will move forward and you will take actions that are divinely guided, but you step out there on faith and you take the initiative to reach out to some people, and then
Right.
watch the doors that open and watch the doors that close. Because the next card that you have is the moon. The moon is also a major arcana card. The moon is my card and my sign for mixed emotions. It's saying that in this journey, you may have mixed emotions, and usually mixed emotions is based on fear. In this card, you'll see
Yes.
again that you can't see the moon's face here, but that big white thing at the top has a face, and it's a moon, a circle. You see that, right?
Yeah. I
But
see that. Yes.
it's a lot of
Yeah. I
water.
see it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
see it.
it's a lot of water. And so the reason we have mixed emotions is because we're not seen by the light of the sun. When the sun comes out, we can see everything. But when the moon is out, we're afraid of our own shadow. We're afraid
Yes.
of things that have happened to us in the past. You know why? Because there's the experience of being the caterpillar. We're no longer the caterpillar. There's nothing afraid of. All is well. You are divinely guided in this process that you're going through. So there's nothing afraid of. And there's no reason for you to have mixed emotions. You have some beautiful cards, Marcia, because the next card that you have is the Magician. The Magician. The Magician is a major arcana card, major life lessons. And one of the things that the major arcana takes us through is tarot is called the Fool's Journey. The reason why it's called the Fool's Journey is because if there's an expression that says God protects fools and infants, right?
Right.
Fools
Yes.
and infants, fools and babies. The main reason that God protects fools and babies is because those are the only two people on earth that don't think they know everything. So
Oh gosh. Interesting. Yeah.
this is
That's
saying again,
wow.
this is reconfirming to be open. Don't
Right.
think, oh, I got this, I know how to do this. No, be open to be led, because you
Yes.
are the not only the butterfly, Marcia, but you are the magician. The
Right.
magician, right? You can see him clearly. Guess what he's doing?
Yes.
He's working his magic, right? He's magical. You are magical, Marcia. But see,
Thank you.
when the fool starts off on his journey, he starts off as 0, which is the
Right.
fool. When you look at this card, you can see, you should be able to see in the lower corner, it's the number
Right.
1.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Number 1. Yeah.
That's why I use the cards for confirmation, so you can see what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
That as
Well,
the magician,
that makes perfect sense. Everything you're saying ties into, kind of my thinking, like just thinking that I need to like take some time and don't rush everything and give myself a moment. And you look through all my drawings from years and years ago. I may get nothing from it, but in designing the jewelry, it's like it's a great starting point. So
yes,
yeah, I just take your time and just go through it, and you never know where the inspiration is going to come. And I think you're right about that. That I've been bad about not stepping into the blessing. So I need to do that.
right. So the other thing, so a couple of things: the magician, the fool's journey. The fool is 0.
Right.
It starts off with the fool and it ends with the world. Once you get to the world, it starts over with the fool again, because life is cyclical. After
Right.
difficulty comes ease. You go through one thing after one thing in order to get back to there. But so each major arcana card teaches a lesson. The
Right.
lesson that the magician teaches us is, I call the magician card my Wizard of Oz card. I call it
Right.
my Dorothy card, right? And the
Okay.
reason
Yeah.
I call it my Dorothy card is, what does Dorothy do? She goes all wandering around, skipping around the Wizard of Oz, only to
Yeah.
figure out that all she had to do was click her heels 3 times.
And she'd be home.
And she
Exactly. Exactly.
so
I love that.
so that's why the magician for me, because the magician has a backpack, and in his backpack he has all of his magical tools, but when
Tools.
he starts off on his journey, he doesn't know how to use them. He doesn't know his powers, he doesn't know his abilities. So for me, again, this is confirmation that you have a lot of tools and a lot of magic and a lot of abilities and a lot of gifts that you
Thank
can tap
you.
into. but
Fingers
it's
crossed.
Yes, but it's like giving a Jedi the sword for the first time. He has the sword, but it takes time to be able to use it. So
Yeah.
as you concentrate, as you focus, as you meditate, then your gifts, you'll be able to, even connecting to your deceased loved ones, you'll be able to do all of that clearer and better and more by command.
Right.
Right?
No,
So
that's got resonates across my whole life. It really does.
because things just happen.
Learning stupid things like learning Google Drive and learning this and learning AI and all this, and if you're my age, not your age, you get sort of scared. But my attitude has been like, well, you're afraid, jump in. You're
Yes,
afraid, jump in. So, you're going to make mistakes in the beginning, but you're right. They're tools in your arsenal that
yes,
that you can always pull out.
yes,
So I am in the middle of doing that with like three different things, the AI, the chat GPT. So it's really been like, for the moment you're scared. You're like, I'm gonna fail, I'm not young, I'm not gonna get it. And then as you go further and further and further, you develop the skills, to create a social media campaign of, two tigers kissing, holding an Cheryl and Brothers bag or something, whatever, but you learn more and more and more how to do it. And it's scary at first. I
right.
was very scared.
But what you come through after all of that is like, oh my God, I could have been doing this. Even for me,
Right.
like we talked about at the beginning of the show, is my mom told me to do this 20 years ago. She was like,
No.
Sharif, do this. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. Only the special people, the sexy people, they do that, and now
Right.
I'm like, oh, I can do this,
Yeah, you could
it's,
do this.
it's just
And the
waking up to,
timing has got to be God's. I mean, it's like I said the same thing. I was like, God, I should have had a YouTube channel forever, but it's never too late.
yes,
So long as what we do is that, you're very, very interesting and brilliant and insightful and all that. So all those other years don't matter.
yes. And that's why the magician That's why the magician for me is the Dorothy Wizard of Oz card. She could have saved herself a whole trip, but along the way, she met different people. She learned different things. So it's never a loss. But if she'd had known that she could just click her heels together 3 times, she'd have saved herself a whole lot of travel. But there are 9 cards. And so this is your main issue. These are things that you're going through. So I did a 10-card reading. And so the 10th card is, after all of this, what is the final outcome? At the end of the day, what is it that Marcia needs to know? Yes. And Marcia, the final outcome that you have is the King of Swords, the King of Swords. Wow. And that's a beautiful, beautiful confirmation for me, because it's a court card and it's a king, right? And so there are knights, there are pages, there are knights, there are queens, there are kings. The king out of all of them is the highest, because the page just delivers messages. The knight is, for me, is an energy of a young man around 20, 25. And at 20, we all think we know everything, only to realize we don't know anything, you know. Had you not set out on that journey, again, for me, a lot of what's coming up is about the path for you, the journey, the things that you've gone through. So the king knows that he knows. He knows what he knows. Right? The king is not 20 years old. The king is not trying to figure it out. The king has gone through so many different experiences that, again, this is my card that tells me I know that I know. I know what I know. So this, and the swords, again, being information. Just like you went from which is beautiful, because you went from the page of swords, which in the pages for me is an energy of a young boy about 13 or 15, because he's a kid. All he does is deliver messages for the king. But you went from the page to the king. So again, it's telling me the same thing that I saw here in the death, that this is a transformation for you. And again, that's a confirmation for me, is what I was saying about even your mother coming through, is that it's like you have these abilities. You have the abilities to connect, but you didn't know. Again, that's the magician. I didn't know what I knew. I didn't know how to pull all these things together. But moving forward, especially if you trust your emotions, that's the moon. Trust what you feel. And you take some time to heal, take some time to meditate, then you will see more blessings, more doors, and step out there on faith. Take the initiative to be able to go forward on what you want to do. Then you will see things change. You will wait for divine guidance and divine inspiration before you just move forward with the chariot. Okay? So wonderful. That was your reading. I think I summed it up
so much. Oh my, I feel it. You know, I just feel like a load is lifted off of me, because you validated basically everything I'm going through. And to see that it ends with the King of Swords, oh my God, so that I can, you know, transcend all these negative things, and, you know, working through it and doing the meditation and, you know, quiet time and introspection, and that I could see Mama, you know, and that it's divinely inspired what I'm doing right now. And I have to step in faith. So, and walk in faith and realize that there is something out there guiding me, you know. So don't operate on fear. You're okay. You're good. So I'm blown away. I am blown away.
Thank you. So we are all one. We are all connected.
We are all connected. I mean, I feel that way with you now. I really do. I feel this connection to you. You just got such a beautiful spirit and beautiful smile. And I need your dentist phone number. And
braces, years of braces.
I need his phone number. Anyway, it's phenomenal. This reading has been like a total validation of what I'm trying to do, what scares me, you know, what should give me hope, what should, you know, the path will be cleared for me, you know, what is cluttered becomes clear. And then, you know, that I just need to constantly do the right thing and listen to the spirit. The spirit comes to me and says, you know, be quiet, be still, and then open up the jewelry books after that, and then be like inspired, you know, and it's going to just come. I'm
Yes.
believing with you. It's going to just come.
Yes, absolutely. So, Marcia, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of the show is just give you an opportunity to speak directly to our audience and give them any final words that you would like to share with them, especially since we had quite a few people who showed up today to
Yeah.
check out your reading.
All right. Well, listen, guys, I think that it's, I think the message is that as frightened as you are at any given point in your career, in your family life, that, you will, if you can muster the strength to just try to open one door one day, if you can just muster the strength, to make just that one call or that one connection, or speak to that one relative who might know someone who might know someone who might know someone, it's not as bleak. You're not as isolated as you think you are. I mean, I came from Birmingham, Alabama, and knew no one in New York, and so except for someone who'd gone to school with me, but, we weren't particularly close. But anyway, it was frightening, but I kind of knew that I needed to be here. So I think my message is that what I've learned tonight is that, I need to stick to this path and realize that, what, you've got this. So you want to think, oh, I don't have this, and this is intimidating, this is frightening, I can't possibly do it. No, that's not true. You might be a hairdresser and you really want to be in New York and you want to work at Bumble and Bumble. How are you ever going to make that happen? Well, just start talking to your clients and see who knows who in New York that could actually make it happen for you, because, we're all connected and we all are 6 degrees of separation away. So sometimes these bigger, more frightening things are easier to do than the day-to-day worrisome things. Will I get, my fabric on time? Will I get this on time? No, the bigger issue is, will I get into this department store in London? So if you can visualize yourself being in New York, and of course I recommend a reading so that, I learned a lot about how my own need to meditate and have some more faith. But I mean, I'm living proof that anybody can do it, that you can move here and have an interesting life, and also pursue your passion wherever you live.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you,
This has
thank
been
you,
an
thank you,
incredible
thank you.
show. Please go ahead and share the show. And if you want to sit right there where Marcia's sitting and have me do a live reading for you, please visit my website at